Audio, yeah, okay. It looks like it is on OBS at least. So this is as far as I got. I made one bush using the Ghibli technique, and like I said, it looks really good. I think it matches the artwork well, and so that might be what I go for. Oh, just realized I was sharing Blender that whole time. Let's share Firefox. I need 2 monitors to do a live stream correctly. This is the Ghibli tutorial, how to create Ghibli trees in Blender. And these are my earlier artworks. Let's scroll up. Yeah, the leaf, the crappy planes, and the Metaballs 1980 faces. So yeah, now I'll get back to Blender. And so like I said, I'm kind of doing R&D here. And my goal is to see how the performance holds up. If I hit play, I can see this is 24 frames a second. And if I turn that off, okay, so my scene is at 24 frames a second. What is that? Scene tab? Output tab? Let's try 60. I think that'll give me a little more info. So yeah, I can pretty much hit 60 with nothing going on. Alpha plane, oh, I gotta go to rendered view for a true test. Still at 60, great, pretty much what I expected. Metaball doesn't really make much difference on its own. I kind of want to instance like 100 of these things and then see if it makes a difference. And then one Metaball bush. I thought I had a bigger one. Still hitting 60. Really not too bad for just one bush. Oh, I wanted to turn up the, or turn down the decimation so I have more geometry. Yeah, so that's not really hitting it that hard, is it? And one more technique that I thought of was to render out one image of this, like from the side view, I guess, because that's where the light is. Render this out as a PNG with alpha, and then use that as one of the planes, just so the planes look better than I could draw in Photoshop, because getting all this detail and form and stuff is just kind of beyond my digital painting capabilities. So I just wanted to maybe try that out and see if that actually looks good. Because again, it's going to be maybe this far away or something. If I turn off some overlay stuff, it might be about this big in the scene over on the horizon. And the angle of view is only going to change a few degrees, I think. Because it's so far away and because we're kind of limiting the player, the audience, to like within this fence, I think. I should ask more questions about how this is actually going to work, but this is my interpretation. We're not going to be doing a full fly around all around the thing. We're going to be kind of limited to maybe a ground level view and probably keep the player fenced in, I would think. That's the assumption I'm working under. So the most they might be able to see is like this. And I'm not really getting a lot of parallax on this. If I maybe had like a plane and just extruded it back by a little bit, I might get kind of the same effect. Or if there were a few planes, then the different branch clusters would have a little bit of parallax on them. And I remapped that. There it is. And it might work out just fine, I think. Am I missing anything on Discord? Not really. Am I missing anything on YouTube? I had 2 viewers for a sec. Welcome, whoever you are. So, let's see. I think I'll do my 100 instance deal to try to really suss out the difference between these different methods. It seems to run slower in this view. If I play, I can't see the frame rate here, but it seems slower, which is weird. I'll turn back on my interface stuff, and let's see, to get 100 instances, I make a plane, scale it up a bunch, rotate, probably in edit mode, rotate x90. My front is a little weird. My front view is not my front view. I think I'm just going to commit to that. Rotate Z90. There it is. And then subdivide. And then if I subdivide, let's see, subdividing twice gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4. I guess it doesn't need to be 100. I just kind of arbitrarily picked that. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 10. And then if I can instance stuff on the vertices of this, that should do what I want. Instancing vertices, and then how do dupliverts work? You have to parent stuff to it? Is that it? So if I make a new, okay, I'll turn those off for a sec, and then make a new collection instance of number 1, which is rotated the wrong way. Z90 may or may not be the right way. And then Shift P or Control P, object. Okay, hey, that worked. And then can I turn off the original one? Not really. Can I move it? No. Can I show instancer? That's not it. Well, I guess we got 101. Is there a way to not show the original one? Faces? Oh, faces wouldn't work, would it? Well, I don't want to show the instancer. That's the whole point. Align to vertex normal. Don't care. There must be a way to do this. Anyway. So if I have 101 of these, and I get 60 frames per second, great. And then, let's see. So this is option 1 test 100x. Just so I can quickly turn that off and back on. So there's an easier way to do that. So anyway, if I duplicate, can't duplicate if I don't have it selected. Duplicate, Shift D. Okay, so this is, leave it where it was. Option 2 test 100x. I hope this is a good idea. I don't really know if this is a great way to test it. But option 2, can I like shift click to parent? Hey, there it is. And then, okay, so it is starting to slow down. I got down to 5. That's just with the metaball? So is this still truly a metaball? Or is it baked down or not? Decimate, wireframe. Oh, so that's not even evaluating metaball stuff. And my frame rate has dropped quite a bit. And this isn't even rendered. So that's already kind of confirming my theory here that this is not going to perform very well. I should take a screenshot of my test here. Let that frame rate stabilize. Back to 21, back to 5, 5.38, 40, 25, okay. Print screen. Can I not do that? Trying to take a screenshot. I'll just grab that whole thing. I think the interaction of all of these recording methods is kind of messing me up, but if I pause the playback, yeah, that was rough. I think that my second heaviest option is already going pretty poorly. I think my initial intuition was right here. Back to YouTube. Oh, hey, Andrea Weichert. Only got 10 minutes. That's fine. Thanks for stopping in. And Blender fan. Hey, no. Oh, Spiky. Hey, no worries, man. This is just to motivate me. This is me holding myself accountable for doing my homework. And if anybody else enjoys it or learns anything, that's great too. I'll turn off my original metaball, turn off that, and then we'll work on the Ghibli method, which really creates a good amount of geometry. I don't know how to find the vert count in this new version of Blender. Somebody mentioned you can search for it, like save system info or vertex split. I can't see it being an operator that can be searched in here. Is it like a preference, an interface thing? It should be called like scene info, right? Interface, viewport, object info. Well, that's that. Gizmo size, selection, like, I vaguely remember Pablo talking about this, but if I go to edit mode, then it only has 6 vertices, so that's not really what I'm looking for anyway, and I can't see it. I remember he said something like it wouldn't always show your vertex info and your face info because it doesn't always matter, and that's true, but now I don't know where it is. Well, regardless, you can tell by looking. If I go to wireframe, yeah, that's way too much. There's tons of vertices that aren't even contributing anything, and just way too much for a background object. But I think using it, I don't want to use the single bush. I want to use the instances to really put it to the test. That didn't work. Do I have to have both on? Yeah, this is a more accurate test, I would say. So I'll go to the front, which is 3 now. It's really messing with my brain. Did anybody help me with the new statistics or in the overlays? I was hoping someone would answer that. Where is it? Face orientation, origin statistics. Oh, there it is. Okay. So yeah, 300,000 verts, almost 600,000 faces. If we want this look, which it seems to be the prevailing taste in the group, that we like this Ghibli style, I think it looks really cool. I'm gonna have to bake it down into PNGs, I believe. But just for fun, let's see what 101 of them look like. Shift D, leave it where it is, and make a new Shift A Ghibli instances, and then parent that. Okay. Are you feeling it? Do I dare play? 1943, 66? 2.89, frames per second. 2.88. 2.88. I think I've seen enough. That was fun. Instancing saves on memory, but it does not save on vertices. It doesn't really save on render time significantly enough for that to be viable here. Yeah, thanks Andrea for pointing that out, where to find the statistics. That was very helpful. So I think my next step is to render this out to PNG, right? Unless we have a fourth method that I really want to explore here, I think I've convinced myself that that's the way to do it. I'll make a forum post with this info too, and I think this live stream will stay up on my YouTube channel, so we can reference it later if anybody actually wants to. Where is my camera? Not quite where I want it to be. Is this using the dolly rig? Looks like it is. Except I didn't animate it very well. The origin point isn't. The dolly rig is helpful, but not necessarily for just setting up a quick thing like this. Pose mode, and then whatever I do with that will change the whole thing. So if I pivot around the 3D cursor, rotate Z, control, does that do it? Close. Grab Z. Yeah, it's kind of like a kind of a question here of how I want to handle perspective. Do I want the camera to be super far away like it will be in the shot, or do I want it to be closer up so they look more round? I guess I can just do kind of a variety. PNGs are nice and cheap. There's no reason not to just try this out. Okay, so EV, ambient occlusion. Ooh, I kind of like it with and without ambient occlusion. That looks even more painterly to me, and like background bushes don't need a ton of detail. I think that looks better. I'm going to do a little bit of both. Let's set up our image stuff. 1920 by 1080. What do I want here? I think 1024 by 1024. Is that too big? If anything, I can cut it down later, but 1024 for little pieces of a bush, that seems like too much, but I'm going to start I'm going to start by getting the look right and then optimize as I go. I'll start with that. I can always reduce it down in Photoshop or Blender or whatever. I want to make sure that film is transparent, and I always forget where this is. Film transparent. What else do I need? Frame rate doesn't matter. If you want this render buttons add-on, it's available on the Blender Market for $1, or I'll just send it to you if you ask nicely. I miss these render buttons, so I made the tiniest, simplest add-on that's ever existed to get those back. What am I looking for? Output. Yeah, I need alpha for sure. That's like the one thing I need. And then I'll go to projects, CGC house, bush, new folder for PNGs, right? Like just all of these little images I'm gonna get. 001. I might end up with a lot of these. I might end up combining like 10 different bushels that are similar, slightly different colors, whatever, into one kind of texture atlas thing to save on memory. But you know, just to start, there we go. Render image, make sure it doesn't look completely wrong. There you go. We're done. Okay. Forgot to turn off renderability for a lot of this stuff. Not messing with the camera now. Don't need the ground plane. I don't want lights. Do I want lights? Oh, I should make sure. Oh, it looks different from here to there too. I like this look better. I'm using an HDRI and I kind of want to mess with that. Ghibli instances is not needed right now. Oh, no, yeah, I do need that. That's the one thing I am rendering. I don't need any of this stuff, which I will put in a collection called tests 100x, just to get those out of the way. Turn that off. Ghibli instances is the one thing I do want on. Haven't tried this yet, Parker, but you could go to mesh to volume and then volume to mesh. Oh, yeah, good point. I haven't tried that. I didn't actually know that was a possibility to get rid of the inner vertices, huh? Oh, so it turns it to a volume. And then everything that's inside the watertight mesh, right? It just kind of keeps the surface. That could help, but the fact that even the Metaball one was getting 5 frames a second just tells me that that's not the way to go for background bushes. I'm gonna try to remember that though, if I ever need that in the future. Mesh to volume and then volume to mesh. That makes perfect sense. I never would have even considered that. Great. We're learning. That's mostly my criteria for that's my justification for how lazy this seems, of like, I'm just going to use planes. Well, no, I did the research. I documented that I did the research. I am learning things. I am getting my money's worth out of this. By choosing a background asset, you know, that's what I wanted to learn. I'd like to branch into this real-time 3D stuff, like The Mandalorian. If you don't know about how The Mandalorian works, they have a giant projector LCD screen behind the camera, behind the actors, and they just project a Unity or a Unreal scene, and they track the camera so that it matches the camera perspective perfectly. And it's just like, of course that's possible, and of course it looks great. Transparency through the glass looks realistic, and there's no green spill on the actors, and the Mandalorian has a shiny helmet, so it actually catches all the reflections on the shiny helmet. That's just one example of something I'd like to do. I'm looking into buying a VR headset. And it would just be cool to make games and stuff. And in order to get stuff running at real time, you really have to make some cheats, but still keep it looking good. Back to what I was doing. If I render that, oh, so close, but we still got something going on. Where is that from? Oh, it's some of this stuff, probably. Oh, so I do need that one, though. Or else all the instances don't render. Why? Is it test times 100? What is going on? Inside of Ghibli, I've got foliage. Ah, there's your problem. There's your problem. Render that. Oh, it was there. I clicked away, but it was there. Okay, so the final geometry is... That doesn't look the same. Why does it look so different? I think there's some other setting that's a little different between the render and the viewport. Foliage is using decimate. Okay, there's a different level of subdivision, and it was lower for the render. These should be the same. Data transfer doesn't change anything. I think that was it. And then, oh, the subdivision here is also... Well, how low can we get away with? Maybe I should try turning down the viewport. Well, it doesn't matter if this takes a few seconds to... Ooh. I mean, what's the difference between 3 and 4 here? What's the difference for 2? Does 2 look... 2 just kind of looks worse. Let's go to 4. I do want them to look spherical, and I think... Is foliage the one that is the single sphere? Yeah, so if I up this decimate to like 0.8, does that look more spherical then? Takes a second to think that through. It looks... I think that looks a bit better. Yeah. Render it again. Who's texting me? That looks better. It still doesn't really match between the viewport and there, but it is a closer match. It's got the same profile. This looks even a little softer, I think. I think that's good enough to save. View, image, save as 001. Save. I might be able to do that thing where I like animate it spinning and cycling through colors, and then I just like render 1,000 frames overnight, and then I have a bunch of stuff to mess with, rather than kind of individually doing this. Because moving this around... Oh. Can I rotate it? A little frozen here. I'm going to cancel that rotation. Hope the Blender doesn't freak out too much. Just check on Discord and YouTube for comments. Looks like I'm not missing anything. Blender is back in action. Looks like I need to turn down my subdivisions for the viewport, which will make it look different. But, man, I need to be able to work here. So, okay. So there's a new blob. And if I grab everything, rotate, does this work any better? Not really. Not really. Oh, you know what I can do? Instead of going full rendered mode, I could just go to this one, and that's close enough. How much better is this? Not really a ton. Oh, I had a good one. Maybe I could use simplify here. Okay, so how bad does that look? If I have it really kind of deep, but I render it to a PNG, does that kind of solve the depth problem? It's a little angular. It kind of looks like a hexagon or pentagon. I don't know. It's kind of got a few sharp edges. It's honestly not too bad though. I'll save it. Increment and save, and the whole interface is just not working. Let's see, where is simplify? Simplify, render, simplify, viewport, 2. Yeah, it doesn't look that much different. And does it work better? Not really. And so right now this rotation that I'm doing is rotating all the instances, but it's also rotating the original instance. Which is good for variation. I don't know, should I do a long skinny one? Let's try it out. Now that I have a keyboard with an F12 button, my render buttons add-on doesn't seem as helpful because I have to go back to that tab and scroll to the top and click the button. But back when I was using a MacBook, I didn't have an F12 button. And I know you can hold function and then go do it, but like that requires two hands. That's way too much. And I just got in the habit of going over to this side of the screen so much. And I know there's one up here too, right? Render, that's not that hard. But my brain was stuck on that and I wanted it back. So that's pretty much what I already had. Yeah, I'm going to start moving individual ones now. I think I might have committed too hard to this this keeping them together thing. Oh, I'm still rotating around the 3D cursor. I kind of like this little protrusion. I'll just accent that a bit. Is there another one like on the back I can pull out here? Oh, 3. Grab, just kind of round it out a little bit more. Oh, I'm messing with the original one. I don't want to mess with the original one. I only want to select these. Select objects. Yeah. And then can I pull one out? I still selected the same one. Okay. From the side view, which is kind of the front view, just give it something more like that. And then maybe like a little less of that. And then rotate that just to make sure that it's not the same as the other one. Oh, I grabbed the original one again. You know what? Blender has an option for this. I can make that unselectable. The amount of nice features that Blender has really just makes it more infuriating to use After Effects and other Adobe programs because they don't have this stuff. I'm like, why can't I just put stuff in a folder in After Effects? Why can't I just select all the things that are similar? I don't know why collections are such a mind-blowingly revolutionary thing for digital artists. You know, it's such an obvious thing. It's just lists. It's just like tags. It's something that exists everywhere, but it's not always exposed in this way for you to just use. I should really change the color of these before I get too deep, because the color should be more like purpley orangey in the background. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Behind the picture of myself, I have an image viewer so that I know not to not to cover up any important stuff with my face. But I'm just going to use that right now and open up an image, the reference image, just so I can color pick some stuff. Oh, holding spacebar isn't how you move. Okay. So I'll get real close on this color, and then, oh, I need to go to shading tab anyway, don't I? I don't need to. Nah, I don't need to. It'll mess up my little interface here. Shading. You know, I like these new icons, but it's also sometimes hard for me to remember where stuff is. Okay, well, now I do need rendered, and let's color pick a lighter color up there. Color pick a mid color like that. That's pretty much the same. Get something down there. Yeah, maybe just tweak that a little more saturated. Yeah, well, it looks good. And then the dark shadowy color. How about that? Maybe that a little darker and maybe a little more saturated. I don't know. It's only kind of working. I guess I can, how do you make it big? Control space. Yeah, this is the bush that I'm trying to match right now. And so, I mean, I don't know if this is the full resolution image. This is probably condensed, but I kind of just see like bright spot on top, shadow on bottom, a little bit of a contact shadow underneath. I don't know if I'm responsible for the contact shadow or if that's just part of the grass material and part of the lighting. There's no one specifically in charge of lighting. I guess that's Kent. But again, for efficiency, I might just set this stuff to not cast shadows and include my own quick and dirty shadow. That's definitely a possibility. I'll have to double check on all this stuff. I'm not digging the shading, but I'm just going to save it. I'll have one extra variation, you know, and then I will specifically try to make it a little flatter. I was having a problem earlier where if I scale on X, they don't really do it right. Like, this isn't even constrained to X. It's doing something. They're kind of getting flat like a pancake, but it seems like they're on their own local axes, but then I switch it to local, and, well, I'm scaling the nodes. And then that also does it, but this actually constrains it to X. This just seems like it's not really constraining it to anything. Or maybe it is. I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was working. I haven't worked with collection instances with instances inside of them really ever. So if I just scale locations, does that solve? No. Because so wait, individual origins and then not only locations? No. These things always confuse me. If I go 3D cursor, okay, that's what I wanted. Just make it more of a ball. And then like some of these just don't have quite the right shading. Maybe I just need to change my my lighting, huh? So yeah, time to actually look at my lighting again. I'm on rendered mode. So I did have a light. I had a sunlight. Oh, so it was included in the... No, it wasn't included. Okay, so that actually fills stuff in pretty nicely. If I rotate this around, well, that's not how you rotate. There, back to here. And then if I just make it a little more like that, then I don't really get much shadow on the top. But it looks more like the directional lighting that this has. This scene, let's see, it kind of seems like it's pretty close to midday. There is like a long shadow over here. Yeah, so it's not exactly noon, but like, you know, this shadow isn't all that long. But this shadow kind of really is long. It's like a much greater degree. And then the tree shadow is definitely going that direction. The fence, Yeah, so maybe I'll just twist it over. I think I'll just leave it there. I can flip it, but I think that gives me a nice amount of the mid purple and a little bit of the shadow. Render it again. Save as. I did mess with the shape a little bit. And now if I select these objects and rotate almost all of them. What is that, the original one? So, is there no way to not include the original, but do include... Because now I'm always going to have this little thing. I guess I can hide it by just moving all of these over it like that. I guess that works. So let's try to get a nicer shadow and silhouette, something like that. And then if I pull that forward, well, don't like that really. Grab, yeah, it's starting to look a little trapezoidal. That's pretty good. That's a good bunch. And it's roughly the right shape. And the shading looks good. Oh, I forgot I wanted to get different levels of detail too. I'm not really using my whole 1024 anymore either. Save as. So I can go back and use my camera controls. My dolly rig. I don't need the widgets. What do I need? There it is. This dolly rig is really great, by the way, just in case you don't know. Grab Z a little bit. I'm gonna try shooting a little bit from above this time. This dolly rig is included with Blender. I think it's called Add Camera Rigs add-on, and it's made, well, it has kind of a long history, but it's made most recently updated and maintained by CGCookie's own Wayne Dixon, and it's very nice. Yeah, you have the main bone that controls the whole thing, as Wayne likes to do. You have this other bone that I can't get to now that controls where the camera is pointing, and then you have some extra control over the camera after the fact. And then I actually, oh, this isn't the most updated version, but I made a suggestion that we should have another bone in the middle so that you can have that focal point be somewhere besides dead center. Because when you move this around, the focal point is always bang center in the middle of the camera. And my thinking on cinematography is to have, you know, rule of thirds, follow the rule of thirds. So you have a focal point somewhere off to the side, top or bottom a little bit. And then if you want to have like a dolly in and keep that focal point on the rule of thirds, this camera rig lets you do that. And I used to do some crazy thing with empties, but now it's much nicer to have it all put inside of one armature so that you can just do it. Let me just try another one of these. It's pretty much exactly what I just did, but now with a slightly different focal point. Image, save as. So yeah, I brought that up to him on GitHub or whatever, and I guess he thought it was a good idea. He included it in the newest versions of Blender. I guess because my settings are still carried over from my old one. Oh, it's because this is my default scene. It was already included in my default scene. If I added a camera now, I don't want to show it. Just believe me. Just believe me. If you do it yourself, you'll have that inner circle that lets you do what I just described. So for the ambient occlusion, I wanted to try that on and off again. and see how different it looks. If I open up my render result and use a new slot, I can quickly see the difference that ambient occlusion makes on the final output. Here it is. So starting to take a while to render. Okay, so what is it, J? Ambient occlusion is in slot 2. Interesting. So ambient occlusion gets me less of the dark shadow in this case. And it gets me more of the mid shadow up here. Do I like that more or less? I guess I'll save it. Just a slight variation on that. Maybe I'll do a couple more. Select objects, rotate it some. RR? Hello? Why is that not working? Oh, I'm still in pose mode for the camera. So all of these objects, but not the dolly rig. All of these objects. Select objects. Just do something else. These are maybe looking a little spherical, but I think it's all right because I'm going to be constructing the bushes out of them. They're going to be maybe 1/5, 1/12, whatever of the whole bush. I don't really like that one. I guess I'll save it just in case I need another variation that's mostly solid. I kind of want to get that rim light in there. Because if I go back to the artwork, that's the HDRI. If I go back to the artwork, actually the rim light is kind of dark or non-existent on most of these bushes. Now that I'm looking at it. So maybe that's just okay. Let's see if I can get a little variation on the light, get it a little more straight on. Something like that. I have no idea how many of these I'll need. It's looking not quite what I want. If I get a steeper angle on the light, that should get more shadow. Yeah. Yeah, that looks better to me. Image, save as. They are looking a little samey right now. So let's see, how do I want to get something different? Pull a couple of these out, get a little more of an oblong shape. That might be nice. Is there one that's like not contributing in here? Let's see how that works. Kind of way in the back. Get it up there somewhere. Just spin that in place. Spin that in place. Okay, it's looking a little more raggedy, which I do like. If I get this kind of protrusion popping out in a few places, I think that would help. Just get it a little rougher than a perfect sphere. I do like that. Yeah, this area is looking good. I kind of want to just do that a couple more times. Where's the bump? Up there. Something like that. Something like that. Something like that. Kind of don't love that. Oh, that looks bushy. Yeah, this is what I should have been doing the whole time. Yeah, these are looking more branchy. If I can get that kind of swooping angle look. See, now I'm graduating from just like doing stuff to really making it look the way I want. That's a good feeling. I like getting over that hump. How does this one look? Ugh. Kinda there. And maybe I can tweak my flags. Get another one of those. Maybe I can tweak my lighting too. Do it in real time. Ooh, okay. If I just get it a little more like that. That's more detail. That's what I need. That's what I need. Save as. Okay, I've got 13 of these now. And I'll probably have to do it again with the blue bush and this greeny bush. And what else is in here? What else is my problem? I guess these are okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5. I need the full resolution image, but a couple of them can probably just be based on this and tilt shifted, but the greeny bluey one I do want to do on its own. I think I'm going to switch gears now and work on option 1 alpha plane again. And instead of this image that looks absolutely terrible, I'll try loading in these images. Open image, not that. PNGs. Where are my PNGs? Is this not where I just put them? Image, save as. They definitely saved somewhere, because I kept seeing them. Well, now I can't save it. Where did they go? Just going to open up my file browser and try to find them. I guess you can't see my file browser, so you just have to take my word for it. CG house, push, PNGs, empty. Why? Screenshot, Photoshop, oh, they're all in Blender, okay. Move them over to PNGs. I thought I was doing that right the whole time. And I'll just pull in number 13. There it is. And then if this goes to base color and alpha, so I'll keep that one around. Okay, doesn't quite work. Okay, so the thing is in there. And then if I don't put alpha in, it works. What does this look like? It has a black and white image. Okay, worked that time. So maybe I should have baked like a normal map or something. Emission. Do I even want emission? Does that look any good? I mean, it kind of looks good. It just sort of makes it shadeless. Them intersecting each other is definitely not so good though. This is something I was trying to like avoid or work around of like, it's something I notice in video game bushes all the time and grasses is like the planes are obviously clipping through each other. And I guess if there was a good solution, more video games would do it. But it just creates this very hard line. I don't know how to avoid that. Besides, I mean, okay, so the easy way to avoid it is just to have static planes that don't move around. But if you want the planes to move around and sway in the breeze even a little bit, then you're going to need some method to do that, or hand animate it in a way that they don't do that. I don't want to select the sun right now. Rotate Z 90, grab. So that's not half bad. It is too bright. If I turn off the sun for this part, does that help? Sun doesn't really contribute. If I turn down the brightness of the world, does that help? If I turn off the world, is it still emitting? It is. So emission at like 0.8, I guess, would that cast light on the background though? Can Eevee just do a shadeless texture? That must be possible, right? Is there like a shadeless BSDF in here? Diffuse, I mean emission, but I don't want it to actually emit light and like glow onto other stuff, because that would be expensive, if nothing else. I guess I could try just diffuse and not use any of the fancy stuff. Well, that doesn't have an alpha thing. So I'd have to get a transparent and a mix. And mixing shaders is also not the quickest thing, but if I put alpha into here and color into color, okay, and I always forget, there we go. If I do that, looks terrible. If I turn on the world again, world looks kind of orange. It definitely changes the color. Even compared to this? Why does it look so different between these two? It's the same color data. Because this has emission. If I don't use the emission, it's kind of getting a weird artifact here. Are they intersecting? Oh, they are intersecting. That's why. Ooh, the shadows. The shadows between them look cool until I think, well, I don't actually want the shadows, do I? If I bring back the ground plane, what does that do? Well, the ground plane is not exactly in the right spot, but if that was somewhere like that. Scale it up a bit. That's looking like a bush. That's not bad. Render that image. Didn't work. Render that image. I mean, this isn't great, but that'll be hidden by grass particles. And I could line up my stuff a little better. So save as screenshots, I guess. This is diffuse, no emission. Is that all the info I need? Planes? I don't know. Yeah, and then if I do emission, which is down here, if I put color into emission, at 0.8, 0.9, 0.8, 0.9. Save as yes emission. Planes save. Yeah, it's closer than I was. I'll say that. Is anybody still with me on YouTube? One person. Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm better off than I was. As far as week 1 homework, I'm just trying to think. It's not like I really care about the grade, and that my feelings will be hurt if I only get 5 out of 10 or whatever. But, you know, is this an appropriate level of research and effort towards the final goal and towards week 1? Just comparing it to doing the modeling, doing the base low poly modeling for something else, I think this is a comparable amount of work. Just considering I did 3 different methods and tested them and then sort of arrived at this in a similar way to sculpting and baking the normal maps. There's some more iteration to be done, getting the colors right and actually modeling out the bushes. Because we're not supposed to put it in the scene yet. That's the one other thing I would want to do, is actually drop it into the scene and like sculpt out those individual bushes. But we're not supposed to link it yet. But maybe I could duplicate the scene and just figure out where they need to be. Is that right? Is that a good thing to do? I might do that offline, because now I hear I'm getting more text here. And I might just want to go for a walk at this point. Yeah, and I don't really want to troubleshoot that on camera, I don't think. Just Google Drive stuff. Not as interesting as this R&D stuff. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up. Thanks for stopping by. See you in the forums. Maybe I'll do more live streams in the future, the next couple of weeks. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you later.